This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. We now have the special purpose grand jury report that guided Fani Willis, Fulton County DA, in her decision to seek the indictment through a regular grand jury that resulted in the recent indictment of 19 people. We got the report. It's been under wraps. The judge overseeing the matter has kept it there, but it's decided that today is the day to release it. We got our hands on it. We've analyzed it here on the MeidasTouch Network, and let me give you some of my initial thoughts on the 28-page report. And I'm going to go right to the heart of the matter. There are a series of people that the special purpose grand jury recommended be indicted by Fani Willis, and her, in her exercise of her prosecutor's discretion, has decided not to do it. It's easy. You look at the indictment, you compare it to the special purpose grand jury, and there are missing people. This is the indictment, just to show you that we're doing our homework here on the MeidasTouch Network. And most critically, and the headline for this hot take, is the fact that Fani Willis has chosen not to indict certain key elected officials, including those who were senators in the U.S. Senate. Kelly Loeffler, who lost her seat to a Democrat, David Purdue, who lost his seat to a Democrat, and Lindsey Graham of South Carolina were on the list recommended by the special purpose grand jury to indict. The reason they're not in the current indictment is not because I believe they're cooperating, but because Fani Willis is picking her battles. She didn't need to battle it out with Lindsey Graham, who's a sitting senator, and two former senators about their role in all of it. She can tell that story for atmospherics, for narrative, when she presents to the jury, but doesn't have to take on the battle of privilege and immunity and everything else. She's already doing that with Donald Trump, Mark Meadows, and a couple of others. So you could see she picked her battles. I mean, we compliment Fani Willis for taking on such a sprawling and sweeping indictment, much different than what Jack Smith has done with his 4-count, 1-defendant indictment in the District of Columbia. But the issues related to Loeffler, Purdue, and Lindsey Graham, I'm going to cover now, and Boris Epshteyn, who's this furtive, behind-the-scenes character that manipulates other people on behalf of Donald Trump, who was responsible for coordinating, along with Mark Meadows, the fake electors. He was also just skated by the skin of his teeth, just got by not getting indicted in this current indictment, but once again surfaces. Let's start with Loeffler, Kelly Loeffler, David Purdue, Lindsey Graham, what the special purpose grand jury had to say about them. They said particularly it was interesting to see how the 28 pages of the report were broken down, shows you how the evidence was presented to the grand jury in terms of topically. The first topic was listed in the special purpose grand jury is the persistent and repeated communication and interference and pressure campaign on multiple elected and election officials in Georgia. And for that, the special purpose grand jury said, indict Trump, indict Rudy Giuliani, but also said, indict David Purdue, senator. And the reason for that is because he and Kelly Loeffler, while they were in the Senate or just on the way out, in fact, they lost when Donald Trump lost, but while they were still senators, and in that period right after they lost, they tried to convene a meeting. They met live with the governor of Georgia, Kemp, both of them, Loeffler and Purdue, and tried to convince him to convene a special session of the House, the legislature in Georgia, to try to throw out the electoral votes and try to throw the election to Donald Trump. That's their role. We know that because of testimony that's already been given. So that's the role that they have. In the second major category or topic that's in the special purpose grand jury report, you've got on the issue of the fake legislative hearings conducted in December of 2020, including showing video of Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss doing nothing other than counting votes. The special purpose grand jury recommended the indictment of Rudy Giuliani, a couple of other people, and then John Eastman as well, related to that. In the category of the harassment of Ruby Freeman, people that have showed up in the indictment. Trevion Kuti, a former stylist for Kanye West, Harrison Floyd, and Stephen Lee. Now we get to the heart of the matter, the fake electors and that scheme. And there you've got a bunch of people we've talked about. John Eastman indicted, Ken Chesbro indicted, and all of the fake electors. 2 of the grand jurors dissented and said they didn't think there was enough evidence to indict the fake electors, but the rest, yes. Your pet's a member of the family. My Lily certainly is. Don't feed them like they're in the doghouse. Give them Nom Nom. Nom Nom delivers fresh dog food with every portion personalized to your dog's needs, so you can bring out their best. Nom Nom's made with real whole food you can see and recognize, without any additives or fillers that contribute to bloating and low energy. That's because Nom Nom uses the latest science and insights to make real good food for your dogs. Their nutrient-packed recipes are crafted by board-certified veterinary nutritionists, made fresh and shipped free to your door. Nom Nom's already delivered over 40 million meals to good dogs like yours, inspiring millions of clean bowls and tail wags. I love my dog so much and feel better giving her better nutrition. And my dog loves the food and other benefits they've seen. Plus, Nom Nom comes with a money-back guarantee. If your dog's tail isn't wagging within 30 days, Nom Nom will refund your first order. No fillers, no nonsense, just Nom Nom. Go right now for 50% off your no-risk 2-week trial at trynom.com/legalaf. Spelled try, NOM.com/legalaf for 50% off. Trynom.com/legalaf. Now, this is the interesting part. The Coffee County break-in, led by Kathy Latham and Sidney Powell, to go to Coffee County and break into the servers and download illegally all of the voter data for Coffee County and give it to the lawyers for Donald Trump and others. For that's the longest list. And then we have, again, Lindsey Graham, David Purdue, Kelly Loeffler, and Boris Epshteyn, along with the ones that were indicted. Donald Trump, Ken Chesbro, John Eastman, Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Mark Meadows. There's a couple of other people that were on the special purpose grand jury list that aren't here, but that aren't in the indictment. But the headline is Lindsey Graham was somehow connected to the Coffee County data breach. And if that's true, and he did testify to the Jan 6 committee, then that means he either got information that was purloined and illegally downloaded and was given to him that he then used to lobby elected officials and Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, or he had some other involvement. But that's a really hot headline. Lindsey Graham involved in some way, directly or indirectly, with the Coffee County data breach. David Purdue, Kelly Loeffler, the same thing. I have to think that the data that was downloaded and the misanalysis of it that was used by people who don't know what they're doing with data was then given to Purdue, Loeffler, and Graham, who then used it in their argument and in their lobbying, right, of election and elected officials. Lindsey Graham is in the soup because he tried to lobby a bunch of people, including Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of Georgia. And Brad Raffensperger's testimony is that he believed that Lindsey Graham was trying to get him to throw out lawfully casted votes. In other words, disenfranchise people. And that made him, in his words, uncomfortable. So this interesting analysis is we know why people have been indicted because, of course, it's listed in the indictment. And we see where the beginning formations of the evidence against all of the individual people, all the 19 came from, right? It's like seeing an early draft of the indictment, if you will, organized in a 28-page report. But the takeaway is not so much who was indicted. It's who just missed getting indicted, including 3 current or former U.S. senators who took it upon themselves, Kelly Loeffler, David Purdue, and Lindsey Graham, to, looks like, use the information that was illegally obtained in Coffee County and otherwise to lobby the Secretary of State and others to overturn the results of the election and the free will of the people of Georgia to vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. And then the last person that really shouldn't sleep well at night, we've talked about him before on Legal AF, is Boris Epshteyn, who is the fixer, internal consigliere for Donald Trump, sort of like this season's Michael Cohen for Donald Trump. And he's listed again and I can only imagine related to the fake electors that we know from the Jan 6 committee report. He was involved with organizing, coordinating with the Trump campaign along with Mark Meadows. Cleta Mitchell's also mentioned. She's a lawyer that doesn't get a lot of attention. Right-wing MAGA lawyer, election lawyer who got involved. She's mentioned by the special purpose grand jury a number of times, not in the indictment. That could mean she is cooperating. But I don't think any of the senators are cooperating, and that's not why they're in the indictment. The reason they're not in the indictment is I believe, and I agree with some of the speculation, that Fani Willis picking her battles already had her handful. Her dance card was already filled with people who were ready to assert sovereign immunity, supremacy clause immunity, presidential immunity, and the rest. And she didn't need to pick the fight on the periphery, even though to America, it's good that we now know that these people were involved with the traitorous attempt to overturn the will of the people. Kelly Loeffler, should she ever try to run again. David Purdue, the same thing. And the voters of South Carolina are going to have to evaluate Lindsey Graham's role. He may have dodged the bullet and didn't end up in the indictment, but he didn't cover himself with any glory. Neither did former Senators Loeffler or Purdue. And that should be on the minds of people should these people ever try to run for public office again. I'm going to continue to analyze. We'll break down the special purpose grand jury report further on our weekend edition of Legal AF, the #1 podcast at the intersection of law and politics. It's only on the MeidasTouch network. You can get it on YouTube. Help them get to 2 million free subscribers. It's easy. It's free. Hit the button. And then you'll get our content sort of uninterrupted directly to you. If you like what I'm doing, Michael Popok, give me a thumbs up. It helps with my ratings and our ratings. And listen to our podcast wherever you get podcasts from. Until the next hot take, this is Michael Popok, Legal AF.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.